What's going on, guys? Welcome to our daily show where we discuss the fourth stimulus check update, the debt limit ceiling that needs to be raised or the government will literally default and run out of money in October, the government shutdown, which will happen on September 30th at midnight, literally 2 days away, or we will see a government shutdown, and the physical infrastructure package and the $3.5 trillion stimulus package that Congress is trying to get passed. We'll have the latest information for you guys on all of that in this video. Yesterday, the Senate failed to pass a bill a combined bill that had a government shutdown bill and a debt limit ceiling bill that the Democrats voted yes on and all the Republicans voted no on. All the Republicans voted to let our government shut down and to let our government default. That's correct. Yeah, and here it is in black and white. Mitch McConnell's Senate GOP, aka the Republicans, voted for the U.S. to default on its debt and for the government to shut down. The government will shut down now in about 2 days on September 30th at midnight if they don't come to an agreement between the Republicans and the Democrats. Also, we just got there was a testimony today from the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell and Janet Yellen. Janet Yellen has now given us a date on when she thinks the U.S. will run out of money and hit the debt ceiling. And she says that the estimate she thinks will be on October 18th. October 18th. Now remember that the U.S. has never defaulted. A default is different than a government shutdown. Government shutdown will happen on September 30th at midnight. A government default is the equivalent of the government literally running out of money. The government right now is using a emergency fund that had $450 billion in it. And Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says that around October 18th is when that fund will run dry and the government will literally run out of money if they cannot raise the debt ceiling before that date. And remember that just yesterday, the Republicans in the Senate voted to not raise the debt ceiling and to let the U.S. government default on its debt. That's correct. So as of right now, we are headed towards a government shutdown in 2 days and a U.S. government default for the first time ever. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says that we can't have a default. Even Mitch McConnell has said we can't have a default. But Mitch McConnell says that the Democrats should raise the debt ceiling on their own. It's kind of a political cat and mouse game. The Democrats can raise the debt limit ceiling on their own through the reconciliation process, which is the process that they're going to be or trying to pass the next stimulus package on. But the question is, can they get it done in time? Well, that gives them about 20 days. So you would think that it's possible to pass the next stimulus package in 20 days. But the challenges are getting all the Democrats in line to pass the next stimulus package and getting all the Democrats to vote yes. So, because remember that all the Republicans are also not going to vote yes on the next stimulus package, this fourth stimulus package. Remember that all the Republicans also voted no on the third stimulus check package. So when you got that $1,400 stimulus check, when those child tax credits, those monthly checks that are going out right now to 65 million children, $250 to $300 per month, all the Republicans voted no on that as well. Not a single Republican voted yes to the third stimulus check package, the $1,400 stimulus checks, the child tax credits, the $40+ billion in rent assistance, the SNAP assistance, everything that was in the third stimulus check package. No Republicans voted yes on that. No Republicans are going to vote yes on the fourth stimulus package. And no Republicans voted yes on the government shutdown to keep the government open or on the raising the debt limit ceiling, which even Mitch McConnell says that they have to do, and we can't have a government default for the first time ever, but they're going to force the Democrats to do it through the reconciliation process. The problem is that we have to get the process done here within the next 20 days. And, well, some Democrats are saying that they're not sure if they can do it because they need to get all the Democrats alone to agree. And here's what the Democrats are saying today. I'll give you a couple different viewpoints here. Number one, AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, is threatening to vote down the moderates' bipartisan infrastructure deal. This is the physical infrastructure deal, unless she gets new information. Check this out. Democratic Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez told Politico that she's planning on voting against the bipartisan physical infrastructure deal. That's different than the stimulus package, the $3.5 trillion stimulus package. Progressives have been saying for months that the roads and bridges bill must be passed in conjunction with the $3.5 trillion stimulus package. Now the social spending reconciliation package seems imperiled or on hold as Democrats negotiate. Representative AOC said she's planning to vote against the bipartisan infrastructure deal struck by moderate Democrats unless she gets new information, she says here today. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has largely prioritized passing the bipartisan infrastructure deal ahead of the larger reconciliation deal championed by progressives after signaling for months she would pass them jointly. That's a change from June when Pelosi told reporters there ain't going to be an infrastructure deal unless we pass the reconciliation bill passed by the Senate. AOC said some of her colleagues weren't happy with Pelosi's recent turn, though she wasn't sure how many would vote down the bill. Progressive lawmakers have threatened to refuse to support the $1.2 trillion infrastructure deal unless the House takes up the $3.5 trillion stimulus package, which includes investments in several sectors, including healthcare, childcare, and climate change at the same time. Pelosi said that the House will vote on the bipartisan infrastructure package this Thursday. But AOC has warned that progressives would not allow the bipartisan infrastructure deal to go through without the reconciliation package. AOC previously said that progressives were standing up and will tank the infrastructure bill unless we also pass the reconciliation bill, the stimulus package, at the same time or beforehand. Meanwhile, President Joe Biden will be meeting with Senators Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin again today, trying to get them to come along, because remember, Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema can tank the whole deal as well. The moderates from the Senate, especially Joe Manchin, is a huge wild card, as last news from him is he wants to spend $1.5 trillion, not $3.5 trillion, and the House is moving forward with the bill at $3.5 trillion. And remember, they need every single senator from the Senate, every Democratic senator, all 50 of them, to vote yes. If you get a single Democratic senator from the Senate to vote no, well, the bill won't pass. And remember, this kind of cat and mouse game going on between the Democrats and the Republicans is the Republicans, instead of just voting yes on the government shutdown bill, the debt limit ceiling bill, and this bill that also has billions of dollars in aid for hurricane-hit states, Louisiana and surrounding states, instead of just voting yes like they could have did yesterday and all this drama and government shutdown, debt limit ceiling that could affect Social Security payments, could affect child tax credits. I'll put this on the screen here just so you know this is true. If you've been watching the, you've seen multiple different people like Bernie Sanders, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, all these different people say that Social Security payments could be greatly affected if the debt limit ceiling is not raised. I do want to say, though, that it looks like that will not really be affected until the debt limit ceiling is hit, if it is actually hit. So it's not going to happen on October 1st when the government shutdown has happened. Government shutdowns have happened before. So if we have a government shutdown on October 1st, Social Security payments will not be affected. When government shutdowns have happened before, Social Security payments do continue. If the debt limit ceiling happens, which is predicted to be on October 18th, that is when the Social Security payments could be affected. Could be is the key word because we have never hit the debt limit ceiling. That is when the government will run out of money, start to run out of money, default, basically go bankrupt, all those nasty terms. That has never happened before. We don't exactly know what will happen when the government hits that debt limit ceiling, aka runs out of money, around October 18th, says Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen. So until around that date comes in, if they don't raise the debt limit ceiling, I wouldn't worry about your Social Security payments until then. So October 1st is the government shutdown, but you don't need to worry about Social Security payments until then. I'm getting a lot of questions about that because, you know, we've had Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer from the Senate yesterday saying that Social Security payments could be affected, payments to the military could be affected, school systems, Medicare, Medicaid could be affected. That doesn't have to do with the government shutdown on October 1st. Now, if you work for the government, you could be affected on October 1st, okay? If you're non-essential personnel from the government, you could be furloughed or laid off on October 1st. You probably might know this from past years when we've had government shutdowns. But the debt limit ceiling is a different issue. They're going to have to make an agreement at some point because, well, we can't, first of all, we shouldn't even hit a default at all. It's just something that should not happen at all. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives is considering a new debt limit vote today in the House. But what this vote is a standalone vote, a bill that is just for raising the debt limit. So this is a standalone vote just for, it's a bill to raise the debt limit ceiling and nothing else at all in the bill. Now, I'm not sure the strategy on this because I don't think the Republicans are going to go for it because if they didn't go for a bill that had a government shutdown bill and it had hurricane aid and some other things, all the other things that Republicans were for, and they just weren't for the debt limit ceiling, I don't think Republicans are going to go for it, but Democrats are trying. I don't want to say that I don't think Republicans won't change their mind here at some point in the future. That's a very real possibility that Republicans could change their mind. Now, remember, the Democrats can pass this bill on their own in the House. Remember that a few days ago, the bill did pass in the House, that combined bill for government shutdown, debt limit ceiling, hurricane aid, and there was a couple other things in the bill. There was actually aid for the Afghan refugees that have come to the United States, which I do want to point out that both Democrats and Republicans are for. I don't think that should be in there, but nonetheless, both Republicans and Democrats think that are in there. The Republicans do have a counter bill that is basically, that combined bill is everything, that same combined bill, actually with more foreign aid in there. It has the Iron Dome from Israel, which is even more foreign aid. It's like $1 billion or more for Israel in the Republicans' bill, which the Democrats took out. So it's everything of the Democrats' bill plus even more foreign aid in Mitch McConnell's bill, minus the debt limit ceiling, which in my opinion is the most important thing, preventing the government from defaulting. So the Republicans have a counter bill on the table that Democrats are not for as of this point. Democrats could consider that bill to prevent a government shutdown. The problem with if they do that, they kind of take all their bargaining chips off the table. They could do this to prevent a government shutdown, but remember, a government shutdown is kind of the lesser of the two evils. So if they really want to prevent a government shutdown, they can do that. But the only way, if I'm just looking at this from a neutral point of view, not Democrat, not Republican, the only way that I think the Democrats would do that to prevent a government shutdown is if they know for certain they can get the stimulus package passed with the debt limit ceiling raising in the stimulus package before the debt limit ceiling deadline, which is October 18th. And really, you got to have a few days of buffer in there. So you really might want to say October 10th, just to give yourself some buffer there, which is only 12 days away. So the question is, I mean, if I was, let's just say I was Speaker of the House and I was a Democrat, I would probably not take that deal from Mitch McConnell, because it really takes away all your leverage and your bargaining chips to raise the debt limit ceiling without doing it through the reconciliation package. Because the Democrats can raise the debt limit ceiling on their own. But the problem is what if they can't do it in time and then the government defaults? That's the worst thing that can happen, whether you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, you don't care about politics at all. That's the worst thing that can happen to our country, period. I mean, it affects Social Security payments, it affects military payments, it affects our entire country, the full faith and credit of the government. We're talking like the worst thing that can happen. Financial meltdown, telling the world that we can't pay our bills, that the government's bankrupt, even if it happens only for a day. Even if it happens and then they make an agreement like the next day or two, it's terrible. It's not something you want to happen. In fact, estimates say it could cost the U.S. $15 trillion. $15 trillion if it happens. Even if it just happens for a day or two. This is not something that we want to happen in any way, shape, or form. The Democrats and Republicans should just come to an agreement and pass a bill before this happens. And honestly, it's just, I don't like to pick sides here, but the Republicans should just pass the bill. I mean, the standalone bill with the government shutdown and debt limit ceiling, like they've done 60 times in the last 80 years. They have raised the debt limit ceiling 60 times in the last 80 years. It's something that has to be done. I mean, Mitch McConnell himself has said it has to be done. We just don't want to do it. We just want to force the Democrats to do it on their own. It's so petty. Like, just pass the vote. Like, we really shouldn't put the American people, Social Security payments, everything, child tax credit payments, school systems, military, the entire country should not be put at risk just because they don't want to vote yes on it. Like, it should not be done. So nonetheless, I think they're trying to negotiate. They're going to try to vote on the standalone bill here today in the House. The bipartisan infrastructure bill is set to be voted on Thursday. But we have Democrats saying that the stimulus package should still be voted on before then. So we have not got a lot of information on the stimulus package if it's going to be voted on before then. All we have right now is other Democrats saying, well, nothing has really changed with the infrastructure package. We want the stimulus package to be voted on before then. So that's all we really have at this point. So the question is the stimulus package going to be passed before Thursday? Or are we still going to be in the same situation on Thursday where they want to vote on the infrastructure package, but we have these progressive Democrats saying, well, this physical infrastructure bill for roads and bridges and waterways, it's nice, but the $3.5 trillion stimulus package, we want to pass that first. And that's what was supposed to be done. That's what's long supposed to be done. We want to pass the stimulus package first. So the question is that going to be passed before Thursday, which is now 2 days away? Yeah, so we really got a lot brewing here. We got the government shutdown, we have the debt limit ceiling, which is the worst one of them all that has never happened before. Okay, a lot of people get these confused and say, oh, we've had government shutdowns before. Yeah, we have had government shutdowns before. Those are bad. We have never had a debt limit ceiling, a bankruptcy basically from the U.S. government, a running out of money. That has never happened in the history of the United States. Mitch McConnell has said that. The Democrats have said that. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has said that. That has never happened before. And even Mitch McConnell has said that can't happen. We can't even let it happen for one day. It would basically be telling the world that the U.S. government cannot pay its bill. Yeah. And who knows what would happen? It literally could cause it could cause a run on the banks. It could cause a financial collapse. Who knows what could happen? So all we need to do is just say yes to a vote, and this could all be done today. I mean, that's how easy it is. Think about how easy it is. All we need is 10 Republican senators to say, you know what, this is really silly. Let's just pass the debt limit ceiling. We know we need to do it. We did it 3 times in the last 4 years underneath Trump. We did it underneath Obama. We did it underneath Bush. We did it underneath Clinton. We know we need to do it. Let's just pass the bill. I mean, it's a formality, really. Or even better yet, let's just get rid of the debt limit ceiling, because it's just this artificial barrier, artificial spending limit that we have. It's like a double check feature, because everything that we spend has to be approved by Congress anyways. Okay, the military budget, the Trump tax cuts has to be approved by Congress. The stimulus packages have to be approved by Congress. I mean, anything that is spent has to be approved by Congress first of all. Then they have this budget debt limit ceiling in addition to it. It's redundant. And all it does is prevent this artificial limit that is just harmful to the economy in cases like this. So, yeah, and in a way, even the Democrats on their own, if they want to do it, they could get rid of it. And we've had Democrats and Republicans saying, we really don't need it. We should just get rid of it because it just causes this undue stress and financial harm to our country and to our people that we're dealing with right now. So, yeah, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. I'll keep you up to date on the stimulus package, the infrastructure package, the government shutdown, and the debt limit ceiling. We have to deal with all of these, and very, very soon. And remember, we have a physical infrastructure vote coming on Thursday, and we have Democrats saying the stimulus package needs to be voted on before Thursday or on Thursday, or else we still have Democrats saying we're not going to pass the physical infrastructure package at Eastern Standard Time. You can click the share button down below to share this video with your friends and family as well, so that they know what is going on with our country and with this next stimulus package. You can click this video here to watch my newest stimulus check video next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.